Welcome to SIIA Tech Chats. I'm Rihanna Collier, and I'm joined today by John Kraft, managing partner and co-founder of Liftoff. Liftoff helps entrepreneurs build great technology companies. John, very delighted to have you with us today.
Thanks, happy to be here.
Now, Liftoff is an early stage business accelerator. Can you talk about which upcoming markets you are most excited about based on some of the new technologies you've seen?
Yeah, I think there are always a lot of exciting companies, and a lot of times the coolest ones come from areas you least expect. But in terms of the markets that we're really tapped into right now and seeing a lot of interesting discussions out there and companies popping up, artificial intelligence is really hot. Augmented reality and virtual reality as well, but really augmented reality more so. And then obviously the unmanned vehicle space and in general autonomy and the scalability of autonomy is becoming increasingly exciting. And I think the next 5 or 10 years in those three spaces, the next 5 or 10 years are going to bring some really interesting companies.
Very cool. Now, you and I are actually working on a drone event in conjunction with the Tech Council of Southern California and some great partners. How exciting is this particular space?
Well, super exciting. I mean, it fits into the kind of unmanned vehicle and autonomy sector. You see, I mean, if you went to CES this year, there were probably, maybe 40% of the square footage of the entire CES was dedicated to driverless cars and unmanned vehicle technology. There's so many big companies putting so much money into this space. And then in the drone space, there's literally hundreds of companies doing really exciting things, and the regulatory environment is still a mess, and so a lot of the most advanced technologies that are out there are actually in violation of the FAA regulations or need to get special relief from regulatory issues in order to do display some of their technologies. But I think what we're going to see over the next 5 years is as these top technologies become more reliable and more trusted, there'll be a lessening of the regulations, and you're going to see increasing impact from the drone space. Both, I mean, the CES market was, really focused on land. It was driverless cars. But now we're going to start seeing more unmanned aircraft as well as marine drones. And specifically, the event we're doing through the Technology Council is going to be focused on sort of where this is heading in the future with regard to things like swarming, so really scalable autonomy with driverless vehicles. And there's some really interesting things that enables us to do, and so we're really excited about the space.
I know we're very excited too. Now, since you work with so many young entrepreneurs and helping companies start new technology businesses, what are some of the biggest mistakes you see entrepreneurs make when trying to launch a tech company in today's market?
Frequently. I mean, the biggest challenge in starting a technology company, I mean, there's a lot of challenges. It's super hard to start a new technology company, hard to start a new company in general, but when you have to invest a lot of money in building technology and designing new products that by definition are new and so unproven, there are a lot of challenges. One of the biggest ones is fundraising. And, a lot of times, especially in a market like LA, which has a fairly robust angel community, meaning angel investors, people who like to invest in seed stage and startups, you see a lot of entrepreneurs, especially first or second time entrepreneurs, who for whom it's fairly easy to get that first $500,000 or even sometimes $1 million to get their product built. But it's very difficult to get the follow-on rounds done, and so you have a very high bar for where you have to get your company in order to be a good candidate for a Series B investment, a second round investment, a 3 to 5 million, or even a Series A investment, I should say, in this day and age, 3 to 5 million for growth capital. And so a lot of times I see companies who have early success raising that first, 700,000, $1 million, take for granted that the next round will come. All they have to do is execute um, and they get a little bit. I would say I see frequently they get a little bit relaxed about cost control. They have $1 million in their bank and suddenly they think they can hire 15 people and really be aggressive. And that's a mistake. And you need to respect the dollars that come in early and really be cost conscious, because it's very difficult to get your company to that bar where the next round of capital comes in, and enables you to really get your company to a much more sustainable place. Because that first early company building process, it's still a leap of faith. And to get the next round of investors to believe, you really have to prove some basic points. And sometimes you've got to make that money last, 12, 18 months or more in order to do that. And so, I'd like to see entrepreneurs in general be a bit more conservative. A second mistake I've seen them make is sort of assuming certain things about their execution. So there's another category of entrepreneur who maybe has been very successful with a different kind of business, come into the technology arena and think that they can build a product, and then they have a product, and then all they have to do is market and sell that product and focus on monetization. When the truth is, having an MVP or a basic first generation product to bring to market is only the beginning of your product development efforts. And early stage entrepreneurs need to understand, it's one thing to spend $250,000 and build an MVP, but you can't assume in your business planning that then, okay, you've got your product, I can now drastically reduce my product development team and expenses and focus all the rest of my capital on marketing and customer acquisition and operations. Because the truth is, you never get it exactly right the first time. And even if you get it exactly right for your MVP, markets are evolving, competitors are coming in. You've got to keep pace with the market that you're helping to create, or you're going to sacrifice your leadership position. And so a big mistake people make is thinking that once they build that MVP, they don't have to worry about product anymore. Now they can just focus on the market and monetization and growth, when in reality, you're always worried about product. I mean, what mature software company have you ever seen that doesn't have a robust product team? It doesn't exist. You've got to always be innovating on product.
Very, very true. That's great advice. You are also now you founded a site called Thrively, a site that helps kids discover and pursue their passions in life. What was the motivation behind this venture for you, and what impact have you seen?
So this is a concept that a good friend of mine and my co-founder Girish Venkat came to me with about. Probably originally came to me with it about 7 years ago, and I had just started working with Bill Gross at Idea Lab on a different concept. And so I convinced him. I loved the idea, and he came to me with it for a couple of reasons. One is I've worked with kids my entire career. I've been a youth sports coach and have been really passionate about helping children, and also. The concept of Thrively is, very similar in a sort of technical sense to the concept of Pandora, where you have a profile and you use sort of the unique attributes of the consumer to match them with with something. In this case, matching kids with opportunities. Pandora's case, matching consumers with musical taste. So there are a lot of ways in which Thrively fit my background, but it was really Girish's brainchild and his passion project. And so I convinced him to put it on hold for about 2 years because we needed a CTO at Uber Media, my Idea Lab company, and I was in a position to leave that company. And so anyway, Girish came, and about 2.5 years after that, we left and began to build Thrively. But it was really about Girish's vision and then my excitement and passion for working with kids that got that off the ground. And in terms of where it's gone, we've really had amazing momentum building in the last year and a half. So originally we started marketing it directly to families, but what we realized very quickly is the family market is very, very dispersed. There aren't a lot of central channels to reach moms and kids, and so reluctantly we went to the education market and we started speaking to schools because there was a real that's obviously a huge channel. We just heard it was a very bureaucratic, hard to get a lot of deals done quickly. But what we found is, they embraced the product and the concept with open arms, and we are now in 15,000 schools and growing fast, and really starting to get amazing feedback from teachers and kids, and it's a real success story.
Yeah, I had a chance to kind of play around on that website a little bit, and I really love the concept. I think it's great that you're doing that. John, thank you so much for your thoughts and insights today. For more information on Liftoff, SIIA, Thrively, and the Tech Council of Southern California, please visit our websites and stay tuned for next week's Tech Chat.